What's up, guys? Jakey Boy 920 here, and tonight I just basically felt like talking about spirituality, awakening. A lot of things are going on right now, basically that a lot of people are feeling. It's been going on for a couple years now, and I personally feel like a lot more people might be feeling this and don't really know it or don't know how to, explain it to anybody. But basically, a lot of people are talking about going through an awakening. And what this is almost like seeing through, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard this already, seeing through the matrix, almost like knowing that what we are living in isn't right and we honestly deserve better and we should. Um, Part of me talking about the spirituality stuff and what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to be as unbiased as I can because I want, my inner self talking to you guys more than me. And I want, any biased opinions coming out, but there are some facts, obviously, I will share them and say them and stand by them, but you can look them up yourselves. But, for the most part, I'm going to try to be, unbiased. And I don't want to get into cracking down, on religions and all that. And this is the first video, so, there's a long time ago. But basically, you know, to a certain extent, I feel like religions don't get you as far as spirituality does, and I feel a lot of people have been feeling that and talking about that, but just not as much as you see in here because when it comes to all of the mainstream stuff, the Illuminati, the media, all the stuff that all you guys most people know about, all that stuff. They don't want to talk about that, I mean, this is a different conversation, but the media is almost like a different version of the government, of propaganda, just basically trying to tell you what they want you to know. Um, and basically, though, I personally feel that, religion does get you somewhere because it's almost like how, and I heard this today from a lecture I was listening to from this monk, and he was saying that basically, someone can say that Chinese food is the best food in the world and everyone should eat it, but people around the world are gonna say, "Oh, I don't like that," or "I don't want to eat that," or "This is the best," or "Why does it matter?" And it's like everyone needs food, but it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't really matter what you have. Exactly what kind. There's so many different kinds that work for people. And really, as long as you are going on that route and you're being a good person and being good to people and bringing out that Christ consciousness, that consciousness that like Christ stood for, and without a religious aspect, just being a good person, being good to others, unconditionally loving people, being true to yourself, that's what really matters. And that's really what these talks are going to be about. Because I'm not, talking from a religious standpoint. My dad was basically a priest, until he met my mom, and then he decided to get married and do all that. But, Catholicism, all that stuff, I wasn't ultra boy, all that was in my life, so I can relate to that. But, coming from an awakening standpoint, it's almost realizing that that doesn't get you as far as they say it should, and there are honestly other ways. And when it comes to facts, and I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to get on there and assert anything, but it's true that, Christians murdered the most Gnostic and spiritual people because they were getting spiritual freedom from inside. And they were really unlocking their true potential from inside. And if you want to control people, you can't have that. You can't have people who you can't control if you want power. And all power is the bad side of love, You don't need force when you have love, but power is making people do something against their will to an extent. So that is force, it's like the bad side of love, Um, but yeah, I mean, basically, Christians, they killed the most amount of people, and the Templars and all that kind of stuff I'm not gonna get into, went on basis like Christianity was the way. And if you look at almost all the religions, they all come down to the same story, the same stuff, same characters, and all the religions are basically the same. You really should, as long as you are following that good path, it really does work, but there are better paths, more clearer paths, and there are other paths that don't have closed doors, if that makes sense. Because from a Christian standpoint, being born into sin, and how are we supposed to be like God and like Jesus and all that, and be powerful if we are born into sin? He and them are like our fathers, and we're so much lower than them. Like is known by like, and not to say that people are and should be equal to God, because they're not, but they should be aligned and one with Him, and it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. It's not narcissistic. It's not saying they're all powerful. Part of the fall of Atlantis was people getting manipulated and thinking they were powerful and they didn't need stuff and started doing more things that are wrong, and that's how that felt. And we're basically going back. We're fixing what we did wrong. And a lot of people now are awakening because they are remembering and starting to feel that they used to live here on this earth at that time, and that people are supposed to, almost, we can't go back in time, but we can definitely right our wrongs and bring back what we should have been. And when it comes to the awakening, a lot of people are starting to realize that, this world with money and the religions of politics and the presidential stuff and this war, the fake war with Russia, all this stuff, whatever you want to believe, I'm not going to force you. But all that stuff, basically, it's just to control people, to separate people. What's the best way to control a large amount of people, if you don't want them to be together, is to separate them, have people against each other, cause racism, cause sexism, men and women should be equal. There are no better, races, none of that crap. And when it comes to a broader, from a higher conscious standpoint, there's a different discussion, which a lot of people I know won't believe, is how are you going to have issues with a certain race of people when they're your kind, and then you have to realize there are other beings in this universe. So they are also, in a way, like a different race of you. They're not nearly like you, but they are still from the same creation, a different form. So people have to really think broader and a lot, more mindful. But basically, when it comes to awakening, like I started realizing that there's more out there than what we see. I had to hit my rock bottom. I've gone through a lot of bad stuff. Part of life is duality. Duality, to a certain extent does not exist in other realms. We have to learn in this shitty dimension the yin and the yang, good from evil, right from wrong, in order to spiritually and in a soul way evolve and progress. I mean, how are you going to do better once you go on after you die, which you never die, you just transform. Energy can't be destroyed, it can only be transformed. So once you go on to a different life, I mean, you want to know what's going on and learn so you can eventually continue, because that's what it's all about, and you never stop. And then, and to tie that in with the whole God thing, because that's what everyone can relate to, no matter what our differences. No matter if you don't believe me, if you believe me, if you believe in one religion or the other, or no religions, atheist. Well, atheist, no, to a certain extent, I mean, that's a different thing too, but, God, you can relate that, we are all from God and all that source, and we're all here to do that, and you have to keep going, because that's what we're here for. And from a certain awakening point, it's just we are finally realizing that this material world is not working. because people, and this is where I'm different and I stand out, and I don't, I'm not depressed or anything, but I don't hang out with a lot of people anymore. I don't do a lot of stuff. I do keep to myself. I'm very spiritual, but it's like, I'm not materialistic anymore, and I live in a world where it's all about money. It's all about what you have and to prove it to other people. And what does that do when you go on? Do you keep that money that you have when you die? Does that go on? No, it doesn't. Yeah, it can go on to your family when you die, but does it go on to them when they die? No. Money really doesn't exist in a way, it's fake. I honestly would love to live in a world without money. I think money just sucks. It's not the root of all evil, but it's one of the tools. It's one of the tools, for sure. Um, and I really want to say people should go out and watch the movie They Live by John Carpenter. And it's related to The Matrix. Everyone who's seen either one of those movies or both of them know exactly what I'm talking about. It's almost like an awakening state. And again, I feel a lot of people know about this, they just choose not to talk about it. But I'm going to talk about it because I feel that is what I should do. And with me, I don't want to live in this life all about money and success, even though I have to live and get money and do all that, which I get. But I want to show the goodness because I feel like when I look at this world, it's almost like I'm looking up. If you take everything you see cut in half, everyone's down here with the cars, the action, the money, the drama, all the stuff, and I'm just thinking up here, just thinking about more peace and just more bigger picture things, not small details, and people are awakening. People need to hear this, and me doing this will be some people awakening. Um, and I even started from small stuff, just from watching that Ancient Aliens show when I first started, to having weird dreams, to wanting to just wake up out of nowhere and look some things up and learn stuff, and it's all made me a better person. I stopped eating red meat for the most part. I dropped 150 pounds. I became a lot better of a person. Every bad thing that basically, I've ever felt, pain from people, I do the opposite to make people feel good. I feel more whole. I want to do right. I'm all about unconditional love. I learned the difference between, love when it comes to sex and loving people, which a lot of people I feel don't get nowadays. Just a lot of different things, and a lot of people are awakening, and I really want to help. I'm glad that I can talk about this. And one thing that helped me is that because we can all connect to the fact that there is a God and all that, you can always talk to your higher power or God or whatever, in whatever ways help you and make you a better person. But just know how far that takes you and be careful. Um, And I obviously want to thank, everyone listening to this because it does mean a lot. It means my message is getting across. And if I am offending anyone or planting any seeds or anything, it's honestly, that's what it needs to take maybe. And again, I'm not trying to be from a biased standpoint. It's just, I feel people are not spiritual anymore. People are about money, economics, the government. I have this, I have that, money, hoes, blah, 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 all this stuff that really doesn't matter, that I used to think was important, that I used to be into, that I'm not anymore. But I've been there, I understand, that's what I'm saying. But, a lot of things have been going on. There's been a lot of crazy stuff that people can't explain, and basically, all of this is happening for a reason. People are honestly good. People just need to know that you are more powerful than you think. Because separation is one of the biggest reasons why we're here. There are other dimensions where there are other beings, and part of us doing what we're doing now is relearning. So it's almost like going back to a whole primitive state and relearning and not knowing anything that's really out there. And I mean, people, like I said, they're not spiritual. They don't think about the bigger picture. They're worried about material stuff that honestly doesn't matter, and it worries me. And the only reason I'm saying this is to get it across, because I love people. I love everyone. I want everyone to be okay. I want this world to be okay. And also, Mother Nature is alive and real. Earth is real. She is a real being. Mother Nature, like everyone else, has an energy and an aura and a being. We are tied to this earth because I know I am not 100% right on this, but in order to live here, we needed to be in this body in order to, even though we've had multiple lives through reincarnation because of soul evolution and all that, we needed to be in this body, and in order to be in this body and live on this earth, we have to be part of Earth. We have to be part of her. So you got to realize that everyone is connected. Everyone really is one through a higher consciousness, a higher state of mind. And we are also connected with the earth. And in order to bring this awakening and ascension from a 3D to a 5D, and for people to basically, what I perceive is, get that Christ consciousness, the higher consciousness back. And again, not talking about religion, talking about understanding, loving yourself again. Understanding the universe, how everything works, the real good in people, seeing past this illusion, this game that we're in. Because this is really a cycle until we're out of it. That's why things are the way they are. And I'm not going to get into a lot of stuff, but a lot of the textbook stuff that they told us, all that stuff's, most of it's fake or set up, and if people, which has helped for me, if people want to get into something that is not religion, but almost a path, one thing that I personally have gotten into, but everyone has their different ways. If you want to do Christianity, Buddhism, whatever you want to do, Islam, do it as long as it makes you a better person. As long as it brings you to a higher level of consciousness and being and loving everybody and, all that stuff and being closer to God in the way to do it. But one thing that has helped me, it's almost a spiritual path, is alchemy. And I have always been drawn to just esoteric things and Egypt and Mars and a lot of stuff. And so basically, one thing that's helped me is alchemy. Alchemy, a lot of people think, it's just the transformation of a lead into gold, and it's chemistry. I mean, it is the beginning of chemistry. That's how it started, if you want to look it up. But it is not chemistry, personally. And that is what, Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Galileo, all those people, in all those times, they all did alchemy. I read many things of Leonardo da Vinci writing books backwards and the meanings of things and hidden stuff in the body, and a lot of stuff that people just don't know, and he was into stuff. And basically, it's a transformation of yourself. It's being brought into this world in this lower density, having to learn, but almost aligning yourself with being enlightened, going the path of Buddha and the path of Jesus and all those people, because that's the whole point. That's what it all leads down to, is leading a path of enlightenment. So in a way, it's the same thing. It's just more of a, I would say, pure path. And I've tried many paths, and this works for me, and anyone who wants to look into it, alchemy is transferring the spirit, spiritual transformation, transforming your spirit from, the one mind and the one thing into the philosopher's stone. And so once you are enlightened, you can go about and enlighten other people, and you can carry the message. Just like Jesus and Buddha, same thing. That's what I'm saying. All those things are the same thing. As long as you are on that path and attuned to that higher vibration and love and consciousness, and that's all people need to do. But what I'm saying with the start of this video is people are not living like that nowadays. People are just, living, and it's really sad, and I can see it. And I do feel almost like I am unplugged, and I do see things differently. I do see people unhappy. I do see people working themselves to death. I do, see divorces and breakups and horrible things, and, people dying and all this horrible stuff. A lot of stuff doesn't make sense. And, people really need this. And I know that once I say this, I know a lot of people are going to listen to me. And I know that I probably will get a lot of criticism, but that's okay. You know, one thing I is never read the comments, so we'll see how that goes. But alchemy has really helped, and it almost reminds me of the Alcoholics Anonymous and NA steps. It's like it reminds me of those steps because it's looking at yourself. It's not just you or this little thing born into sin. Here's a powerful God, and you're going to go to hell. First of all, if there's hell, how are you really going to ever learn in the future and keep going? Come on. And basically, it's just you really dig deep in yourself and cleanse yourself. You really sterilize your soul, and it changes you for the better. And I know a couple people who are getting into this, and I had a deep conversation with one of my friends recently, and I don't talk about this stuff with anybody. I don't bring it up, when I hang out with people, when I do whatever. I talk about music, what's going on nowadays, I don't know, anything I've been doing, all the regular stuff. I don't talk about this stuff, but one of my friends has had he had a need for some reason. He said he felt he needed to talk to me about this stuff, and I talked to him. He was crying and crying and, just completely changed, and I saw the difference, and like, man, people really need help, and I love people, I want to help people. And I feel that's why I should be here. So what's the point? What's the harm of me coming on here speaking for a half hour, an hour, or whatever, for a day or a week at a time, whatever. It's okay if you don't want to listen to me. Turn it off right now. It's okay. I understand. You have your own ways of going. As long as you keep going, then that's really all that matters. But I'm not gonna, talk about everything in this video because I can't. That would be too long. But basically, I want to keep this into just awakening. If you feel that you are starting to realize there's more out there, that there is something greater, or what you're living in just doesn't make sense, or you're different in a way. You stand out even, just the way you think, everyone thinks one way, you think the opposite way, or you feel you're connected to something great, for good, and you feel you just have a different path, really look stuff up, think about it, explore, because I know me doing this will definitely maybe touch some people, and it could be even a year from now, because I just started today, but I don't know, and that's okay. But before I stop this, because I don't want to ramble on, the two books that have helped me that I would love to share are the Emerald Tablet, which alchemy is basically built on, that's the base. Look that up. Especially if you're into Egyptian stuff, please look it up. The Emerald Tablet, I feel is almost like the original true Ten Commandments in a type of way, the way you should live. But the thing is, the rules and the way it works, and it penetrates everything and every thing, every style thing. I mean, like I said, religion in a way, and this is a different thing. I don't want to offend anybody. It doesn't open all doors. Religion will end with some doors closing, so there's so many questions, so many bad things happening with religion. And, this stuff, it touches everything. There is no closed doors. And if you find yourself the alchemy basically found you. That's how it works. But this isn't supposed to be, for everybody. But the Emerald Tablet, Alchemy for Personal Transformation, by Dennis William Hawk. I'll put that up here. This book definitely changed a lot for me. I mean, besides, the pictures and understanding, this guy really, I'm from kind of by Chicago, about, 40 minutes away. This guy is from Chicago, and this guy really brought the elements and the teachings, but then mixed them like a teacher, and a good teacher, with his personal life. And I really got to understand and connect. And I also had the exact, steps and rules and meanings of things, but he also mixed it. And he even had, different chapters with certain pages that related to certain events or people that everyone knows that they can relate to. And it was really, really cool. And what was odd for me is there were a couple people in the book that he talked about that had been big in my life. that it was almost like a sign, like why is he talking about these people? And I'm reading this and I just know, and just it brought a really good feeling. But this book really got into detail. If you want to learn like the steps in alchemy and the more detailed stuff and good pictures and understanding of it, um, without opinion, then this is the book for you. And the other book, which I just, I started reading, recently, I haven't finished the whole thing. But this book, by far, I don't think I've ever had a better book than this. It is called The Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manly P. Hall. And this guy basically didn't really he didn't, study the whole Freemason stuff, but he was declared, and he was made a Freemason by Scott Troy because of the amount of work and what he did, but the content, what he produced, was good enough. But this guy basically, when everything I listened to, and this is just me, this guy knew everything almost in a way. Not everything, but he just knew how the universe and people worked and the true meanings behind things. Like if you want to know the true history on stuff and meanings, that's the guy to listen to, Manly P. Hall. I mean, he died a while ago. But anyways, The Secret Teachings of All Ages. This book is $700 on some websites. But I got it for $120 for this edition. And the colors and everything is just amazing. Like I can't even describe to you just the amount of work and just beauty in this book. And I know that once I'm done reading this book, I will have known and learned a lot, for a fact. And I'm really excited. But I do want to get, some good pictures out, for example. But this book talks about, the Rosicrucians, alchemists, all the religions, masonry, this chapter, Atlantis and the Gods of Antiquity. If you're big into Atlantis, which a lot of people are now, I highly suggest, reading this. And, basically this is, to me, this is the best way I could describe it so far. I know I'm going to be a little off. Is that it's almost like take a textbook that you get from school and then take this book and almost say, alright, this is a whole bunch of bullshit. This is real. This isn't true shit. A lot of it is dark, so, it's good to learn about stuff, just like how we are in this life to learn bad and good. You can stay away from the bad as much as you want, but, we are here to learn duality. It's not bad to, I've gone through some really hard times in my life personally, a lot of bad stuff. But I had to go through that to learn the light, so I got the light through the bad, in some cases. And you need to do that. If you just completely hide from everything that's bad and dark and don't ever learn anything, what's the point? You're never going to really reach stuff, If there was always miracles and joy without any pain and bad stuff, then it wouldn't be what it was. So how would you know? And that's the whole point, So it is okay. So it's like people can relax, just have a bigger understanding. And, when it comes to awakening, like for me, for example, I know that, yeah, I'm gonna die, but I'm gonna keep coming back. And we're all positive, infinite beings. We're all good, Humans are good for the most part. And this is another video with everything that's going on, people are gonna succeed. And, as long as you're a good person and you love what you are made to do, which there's no reason you should have anything else but that inside you, then you're okay, I mean, life is great. Right now in these hard times, life is great. I am literally having the best time in my life right now, and it sucks that a lot of people are going through the worst stuff, and I'm gonna try to help by doing this and all this stuff. But I just want people to know that, it is okay, that they are feeling, things different. They should really believe in themselves because people are more powerful than they think. We are not God, but we can become aligned and one with God, and that is not the same thing as becoming Him, not equal to Him. Almost like, how are you gonna be the promotion person Or how are you gonna basically stand and represent someone if you don't really have, if you say you don't have what they have? Then what's the point? There is no point. But there is bad out there. There are bad enemies and bad stuff, which is a whole different video, which I'll get into. Hopefully people are into. I know I'll probably get a lot of bad stuff from this, but I really don't care. Because I'm trying not to be biased. I'm trying to just say, everything's gonna be okay. It's just people are misguided right now. But we are in the return for people to be better and to love and for things to be good. And I know people deep down, even if they have denial, know this and believe. So that's why I'm going out right now, doing all this, spending this time, gonna get this criticism, because I know that people out there are gonna listen, and there's gonna be people out there that I'm gonna change. And I only hope that this can continue, and I'm gonna stop, but thank you for listening, and I hope that, the last couple of videos are good. This is my first day. I got a lot to say. This is my first day. So if you've enjoyed, then please subscribe. For the first time, hit that like button. I don't even care. Like, subscribe, do whatever, because we're at the bottom now. We can only go to the top. So thank you guys. And like I said, this is your channel as well. And we're going to do whatever we can because we are one. We're gonna do this. We're gonna have some fun. Whatever you guys want me to do, I'll do. So So alright, guys. Take care. Have a good night. I'm gonna try to as well. Let's stay safe.